They were halfway across the lake. They weren't there because they wanted to be. Jesus sent them ahead. In fact, he seemed really in a hurry to send them ahead, and so they went. It's 8 miles across the Sea of Galilee, but they weren't anywhere near close to the shore. In fact, they had been out there now 11 hours. A wind began to kick up, and then it kept kicking, and before long, a furious storm overtook them. So furious that they were beginning to wonder if they would survive this storm. Mark's gospel tells us that they were rowing just to stay in place. Had they quit rowing, they would have been blown backwards and probably capsized and drowned. So they rowed until their arms wanted to fall off. When one of them saw a figure coming at them, and they began to cry out in fear because they were convinced that this was the angel of death coming to usher them into the other side. Fear. They had, just before taking this journey, they had helped Jesus feed the 5,000 with a little boy's lunch, 5 loaves and 2 fish, and Jesus kept breaking and breaking and breaking, and they exulted. They were jubilant in this massive amount of food. It was a miracle. And when they began this trip on this boat across the Sea of Galilee, 8 miles, they were so full of faith, and then blam! Storm hits. Storms. Their faith was full at the beginning. But when the wind began to come, bit by bit by bit, the wind blew away their faith. And now they were convinced that the angel of death was coming. When Jesus said, "Take courage, it is I." Storms. Storms. We all have them. They come out of nowhere. They hit us blindside. A young father at work gets a phone call. His wife's been in an accident. His 2 teenage kids get the same phone call. They hurry home. They wait for news only to hear that mom is no more. A drunk driver left the center, hit her head on. Storms. Lots of layoffs in the firm, and you were hoping to survive it when the boss calls you in and gives you a piece of paper to take to the unemployment office. Storms. A young mother gets a call from her doctor. She's 6 months pregnant, and he said, "I need to talk to you." Storms. They hit us all. And not necessarily because we're disobedient. The disciples were just following Jesus' instruction. Storms. And what storms do is they take our faith that is normally strong, and it becomes dismantled bit by bit by bit. We watch the evening news and we hear more and more reports how a virus is coming closer and closer and closer to our doors. Storms. But they don't have to take our faith. Because the same Jesus that spoke to us in the daylight is the same Jesus that is with us in the storms. And I have something to tell you, and it's this. He always comes to you in the storm. Now, he might not come as quickly as you want. The disciples would have loved for him to come a couple hours earlier. But he always comes. Hear me. Jesus always comes to you in the storm. Jesus said, "Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You are loved. He will take care of you." I know these are frightening times, but he will. He's good. Debbie and I love you, and we're praying for you these days. God bless.